Okay, so good morning to everybody. If you are watching our live feed stream right now and you can hear me okay, give me a thumbs up or a heart or something like that just so I know everything's going okay. I've had some technical issues with the laptop this morning, which thankfully does not appear to be affecting our live stream, but I can't share the wonderful Christmas Carol videos I wanted to share with you. So thank you for that. I'm glad things are working at home. Oh, I better not do that. That'll throw me off. Okay, so let's begin with the ringing of the bell. And unfortunately, you at home will not get to hear our bell ring. I apologize. Okay. So I want to share our announcements with you. One important announcement is that due to the pandemic, we are not going to have in-person worship on Christmas Eve. Instead, we're going to broadcast our service live at 8 p.m. And to prepare yourself for it, it is a candlelight service, so we encourage you to get a candle that you can have burning the entire service. Typically, it's white to represent the Christ candle, and then have another candle for each person who is worshiping with you that you can light from that later in the service. And also, it's a tradition at Lost Creek and McCoysville that instead of taking up an offering, we give out a piece of chocolate for the offering. And so if you'd like to have a little Hershey's Kiss for each person who's worshiping, or a Dove chocolate, that's what they like to use at McCoysville, get those together for your worshipers as well. And that will be Christmas Eve at 8 p.m. on Facebook, right where you are right now. Today, Lost Creek is taking up the Christmas Joy offering. That goes to two different funds. One is for the emergency fund for pastors and their families if they get into a crisis, and the other half goes to our racial ethnic schools that we have been supporting as a denomination, and to support their education. So please give generously to that today. Offering envelopes are available in the entrance for those who attend Lost Creek. Today is also Stu-Bear Sunday. Here at Lost Creek, we dress down. At McCoysville, we wear a hat in church. And Stu-Bear right now is collecting for the Presbyterian Disaster Assistance, and that will go to help people recovering from hurricanes or the wildfires. Wednesday night, we'll continue our Bible study on A Christmas Carol at 7 p.m., and we're using messenger rooms, so I'll send a link to all the participants. We could really use some help with the food pantry distribution this coming Saturday down at McCoysville. We could really use some help at the food pantry distribution at McCoysville this Saturday. We unload the truck at 9 a.m. We hand out food at 10 a.m. And we need people who can move stuff in and out of the truck, who can stand at the tables and help people select the items that they are taking home, and then people to help take the groceries out to their cars in the grocery carts that we have. So please let me know if you can help with that. Next Sunday is Special Offering Sunday. We'll collect loose change for our Joyful Noise offering that goes to the Emergency Heating Fund at Lost Creek. And at McCoysville, we are collecting a Meals on Wheels offering. Next Sunday, we're also going to collect a special offering for the Bell family. They lost their home earlier this week to a fire, and they lost all of their belongings. Melissa and Ron are the daughter and son-in-law of Burl Smith. And so we're going to take up a love offering to support them as they try to recover from that. For Lost Creekians, the address lists are posted in the ministry room, and if you would go by and check your name, address, phone numbers, email addresses, and make sure they're correct. We're continuing to collect fruit cocktail at both churches for the food pantry, and adult coloring books and activity books for the nursing homes here at Lost Creek. And Tom wanted us to know that his mom, Janet, has been moved at Locust Grove. Her room number is now 206B if you wanted to send her a card or something. Are there any other announcements? Okay. All right. Let's see. We do have one other thing here. Yesterday we handed out Friday and Saturday over at Trinity, they handed out the gifts that were provided by the churches and individuals in our county for the Christmas angels. They also were able to hand out some household supplies and detergent. And you can see there's some funny-looking guy in a red suit there who helped them out Saturday morning. But they want to thank everyone who gave generously to the Christmas Angel Project. We helped a lot of families. Let's prepare our hearts and minds to worship God as we listen to our meditation music. Thank you. Light one candle for joy, because the world is broken and the wait is long, but our joy cannot be contained. Like a toddler toppling the thrones of power with a gleeful swipe, joy pierces our silence with song, interrupts our sighing with laughter, unshackles our fumbling feet to dance. My soul magnifies the Lord, she whispers, and my spirit rejoices in God my Savior. So we light one candle, because it only takes one, Christ with us. And I should say that our candle lighting liturgies this year were provided by Reverend Karen Ware Jackson to the denomination. So thank you to her. So it's time to pass the peace. So peace be with you and also with you. And as everyone here passes the peace to one another, people are sharing their peace with you from home. Jeff, Alicia, Barb H, Nat, Cheryl, Kathy H, Barb and Rich, Tessa and her clan, Karen Slingland, Lindsay and her clan, Debbie, Sandy, and Dave. Let's see, who else? Abel, good to see you. Ann and Barry. Lowell and Chris. Okay. All right, I think that's everybody that I saw on the Facebook page, and of course we do have some who are listening on the telephone as well, and welcome to all of them. So peace be with all of you. Let's sing softly 2 verses of hymn 158, Angels We Have Heard on High. Our scripture lesson today comes from the Gospel of Mark, chapter 10, verses 17 to 22. Listen now to the word of the Lord. As he was setting out on a journey, a man ran up to Jesus and knelt before him and asked him, "Good teacher, what must I do to inherit eternal life?" Jesus said to him, "Why do you call me good? No one is good but God alone. You know the commandments. You shall not murder, you shall not commit adultery, you shall not steal, you shall not bear false witness, you shall not defraud, honor your father and mother." He said to him, "Teacher, I have kept all these since my youth." Jesus, looking at him, loved him and said, "You lack one thing. Go, sell what you own and give the money to the poor, and you will have treasure in heaven. Then come, follow me." When he heard this, he was shocked and went away grieving, for he had many possessions. The Lord always blesses the reading and the hearing of his holy word. So we are continuing our sermon series on themes from the Christmas Carol. And in the third stave, the ghost of Christmas present comes and takes Scrooge out into the world on the present Christmas day. And as they travel through the streets, he is carrying what Dickens describes as both a torch with burning incense, but also as a cup holding water, both coming from it at the same time. And as the ghost of Christmas present is walking through the streets, he's scooping water out of this and pouring it on people's food. And Scrooge asks, "What are you doing?" And he says, "I am providing a blessing, my own blessing, on the meals and on the lives of the people this day." And Dickens points out that even those who are squabbling with one another on Christmas Day, when he pours the water on them, they feel peaceful and they stop their squabbling. Now, Scrooge asks, is it any meal on Christmas Day? And the ghost says, well, the ones kindly given, the poor most of all. And Scrooge, who's pretty thick, asks, why the poor most of all? Because they need it most. Now, at this point in the story, there is a conversation that takes place between Scrooge and the ghost that usually doesn't appear in the adaptations that we see in theaters or in the movies. The conversation goes on because Scrooge thinks he has caught the ghost in Christmas present in a hypocrisy. Supposedly, the ghost cares for the poor most of all. But there's something that's troubling Scrooge, and to understand it, you have to kind of understand what was going on back then. Back in the 1850s in England, companies or businesses were not allowed to do business on Sunday. Now, one of those businesses, of course, was the bakery. But the bakers didn't want to put out their ovens, the fires in their ovens on Saturday, and then wait Monday until they warmed up again before they started baking food again. So they let the fires burn on Sunday. Now, the ovens are empty on Sunday. So they allowed the poor to bring their meals to their stores and cook the meals in the ovens on Sunday, sometimes for free, sometimes for a little fee. Many of the poor did not have a way to cook hot meals at home. And so this was the only day of the week that they got a hot meal. It was on Sundays when the bakeries were closed and they were allowed to use the ovens. Now, there was a group of Christians who called themselves the Lord's Day Observance Society. And they believed that even allowing the poor to cook their meals in the ovens, in the bakeries on Sunday was a violation of the Sabbath law. And so they tried 7 different times to get Parliament to pass a law forbidding the poor from using the ovens. Now, in his mind, Scrooge associates the ghosts of Christmas with these same Christians who are forbidding the poor from having their one hot meal a day. And so he turns on the ghost and he says, well, then why are you trying to prevent the poor, if you care about them so much, why are you trying to prevent the poor from getting this one hot meal a day by allowing them to use the ovens in the bakeries on Sunday? Now, Charles Dickens was not very fond of the Lord's Day Observance Society and what they were trying to do. And he puts his own words into the ghost of Christmas present's mouth. You can kind of hear Charles Dickens speaking through this. He says, "There are some upon this earth of yours who lay claim to know us and who do their deeds of passion, pride, ill will, hatred, envy, bigotry, and selfishness in our name. They are as strange to us and all our kith and kin as if they had never even lived. Remember that, and charge their doings on themselves, not on us." So obviously, Charles Dickens was not very fond of this idea of preventing the poor from being able to heat one meal a week in these ovens. He has quite a strong feeling towards them: passion, pride, ill will, hatred, envy, bigotry, and selfishness. But as I was thinking about this, I began to think about the story that our Bible study suggests we read, the biblical Scrooge. And this story appears in all three of the synoptic gospels, Matthew, Mark, and Luke. There's a few differences in each one. And so we tend to combine all of the differences together into one and call this the story of the rich young ruler. And Jesus is on his way to Jerusalem, and a rich man, a young man, perhaps a ruler, comes running up to Jesus and asks, "What must I do to inherit eternal life?" Jesus quotes many of the laws in the Ten Commandments, and even says, "Love your neighbor as yourself." And the young man says, "I've done all those things." And apparently he has, because Jesus looks at him and he sees his fervent desire to obey God's law, and we are told in Mark that he loves him for that. So apparently he really has been trying to be an obedient person to God's law. But there is a problem. He has a lot of money. He loves his money. And it has taken first place in his life. And Jesus says, you have to do one more thing. Sell all you have and give it to the poor and follow me. And the young man walks away saddened. Now, we shouldn't be surprised at what Jesus told him. In the Bible, righteousness is not defined as keeping a list of laws. Instead, righteousness is fulfilling your part of a covenant agreement. God is described as righteous, not because he obeys all the laws that he wrote in the Bible, but because he fulfills his part of his covenant agreement with us, humanity, despite the fact that we are always breaking the covenant with him. God always loves us. He always provides for us. He always seeks to guide us in the right path to follow. That's his part of the covenant agreement, and he always keeps that. So God is righteous. We, for our part, are to acknowledge that God is God. We are to trust that God's ways are good, and we are to live in our lives in obedience to that. And in order to put God as God in our lives, that means nothing else can have first place in our lives. We can't have idols like wealth. And so it should not surprise us that Jesus has said to the young man, you have to give up this idol, wealth. Give it all away. And then come follow me. Because he's got to put God first in his life. But that's the irony of joy. We think that the things here on earth that make us happy are the things that will provide us joy. Maybe it's having wealth and all the benefits that come from it. Maybe in Scrooge's situation, it's not necessarily what you can do with your wealth, but just the fact that you can acquire wealth. That was his idol. For some people, it's having power over your own life, maybe power over other people's lives. For some people, it's popularity. They like to be popular with everybody else. They want to be looked up to by other people. Maybe it's even family. We put family before God. Or we put our religious traditions, like the Lord's Day Observance Society. We put those before God. Whatever we think on this earth is going to make us happy And if we put that first before God, it becomes an idol. And here's the problem. They are temporary. They don't always last. And when we've sensed these things that make us happy going away, what do? We become anxious. We become angry. We grasp at it. We try to hold on to it even more. We don't experience joy. The only way for us to experience joy is to follow what Jesus said. Notice he told the young man, you lack one thing. Go sell what you own and give the money to the poor, and you will have treasure in heaven. Then come follow me. And that's important. What does it mean to trust and to put God first, to trust him and to obey him? Apparently, it means more than just obeying a bunch of laws in the Bible. Because the young man had done that, and yet Jesus says there's something else he's missing. The whole Bible is God's word to us. But Jesus is the ultimate self-revelation of God to us. In Jesus Christ, God himself entered our world and became flesh. And when we look at what Jesus said and we look at what Jesus did, we see God most clearly. And what do we see Jesus saying and doing? We see him caring for the well-being of other people. He doesn't have to stop and ask, well, does God's law tell me to do this or not? He sees somebody in need, he helps them. And not just those who treat him nicely, even those who would be his enemy, even those who betrayed him, who arrested and beat him and crucified him. Jesus loved them and cared for them and offered them salvation. If we want to put God first in our lives, trust that his way is right, and live in obedience to that, we have to let go of our idols that we think make us happy, and we have to follow the example set by Christ, living our lives in concern and consideration of other people. As Scrooge continues on his journey with the Ghost of Christmas Present, we see two examples of that. One is by Scrooge's nephew, Fred. He and his friends have gotten together for Christmas Day, and they're celebrating. And Fred asks his group to raise a toast with him in honor of Scrooge. And everybody's appalled at that. Scrooge is a mean, nasty, heartless man. He refuses to come and eat with them. He insults them. Why would they wish him a Merry Christmas? Because that's what Jesus would do. Jesus cares about the well-being of others, even those who are his enemy. And so he wishes a blessing upon them. And that's what Fred does. He wishes a blessing, even upon Scrooge. Now, it's fairly easy for Fred and his friends to wish well for Scrooge, because the only way they're affected by Scrooge's nastiness is if is the harsh words that he says to them. But there's another character who also wishes Scrooge well, and that is Bob Cratchit, the clerk that works for Scrooge. And he has suffered under Scrooge's hand. Scrooge does not pay him enough, and he has this family that he's trying to support and care for. And they live in a little hovel of a home, and they're one of the poor who benefit from being able to cook in the bakeries on Sundays. They go and they put their goose at the bakery ovens, and then the children go and bring it back home. And yet, even though they have suffered at Scrooge's hand, Bob Cratchit says, I want to propose a toast to Ebenezer Scrooge, the founder of the feast. And I wish I could have shown you the video, but in the Patrick Stewart version, the wife really lays into Ebenezer Scrooge. And the only thing Bob can say is, Christmas Day. It's Christmas Day. We need to show Christ's love and compassion to others, even those who do not show that love and compassion to us. So as we are considering Christmas and the coming of God into the world in Jesus Christ, and we think about the example Jesus set, we have to ask ourselves, what does it mean to follow God? To put him first in our lives, to trust in his ways, and to live in obedience to him. May we use this time to examine our lives and ask God to open our eyes to any idols that we might have in our lives, anything in our lives that we put more trust in to give us happiness than God. And ask God to help us let go of those idols and to obey him and to follow Christ's example and to share God's love and compassion with all who need it. Amen. As we turn to our time of prayer, this week we are praying for the Pennsylvania Council of Churches. Fellowship, ministry, and advocacy are the hallmarks of the Pennsylvania Council of Churches. This week we are praying for the council and the Reverend Sandra L. Strauss, Director of Advocacy and Ecumenical Outreach. In public advocacy, may the council's work continue to empower people of faith through education and skill building to make a difference for the common good in the public square. So please keep the Pennsylvania Council of Churches in your prayers this week. We're also praying for all those families that received presents from the Christmas Angel program and asking God to bless them richly this Christmas. We definitely want to be praying for teachers who continue to struggle with trying to connect with their students online. And we want to pray especially for medical workers who have really been struggling with the overwhelming load of sick coming into the hospitals and the doctor's offices. You know, it's really hard for medical workers when they don't have enough beds for everybody and they have to make decisions about who gets care and who doesn't, when they have to decide who gets a ventilator and who doesn't, and when they have to watch some of their patients die. So let's please keep our medical workers in our prayers as well. However, we have some good things. Here are pictures of Reese, who is 2 this week. She is one of our birthday kids, and so happy birthday to Reese. Hetty and Keith have an anniversary on Wednesday, right? Yep. Did you remember that, Hetty? Keith has a birthday on Wednesday, and of course Reese is on Thursday. Are there any other birthdays or anniversaries? And if anyone at home is celebrating a birthday or anniversary this week, we wish you a happy birthday. And so we should sing happy birthday, well, sing softly and sign happy birthday, God bless you to our birthday people. Are there other joys or concerns that we want to share at this time? I did have a lot of fun helping hand out those gifts yesterday, and since I was wearing my Santa suit that I got from McCoysville, I decided to walk through town and wave at cars and even wish the people at the post office a Merry Christmas. So, well, let's bring our joys and concerns to the Lord in prayer. Each of our petitions ends, Lord, in your mercy, I invite you to respond, hear our prayer. Let us pray. Heavenly Father, help us to bear witness to the light of Christ. Give us wisdom so that we may say no to those things which point away from Christ and yes to that which glorifies him. Lord, in your mercy, hear our prayer. We give thanks for the beauty and abundance of the earth. Give us and all people grace to live in harmony with your creation, and wisdom and generosity in our use of its bounty. Lord, in your mercy, hear our prayer. We give thanks for leaders who serve the common good. Give wisdom to those who have responsibility and authority in every land, that we may share with justice and the resources of the world and work together in trust. Prosper the work of Presbyterian Disaster Assistance through generous contributions and through good relations with the communities they seek to assist. Bless those who are supported by our Christmas joy offering. May pastors and their families know that they are not alone in times of need, and may those who attend our racial ethnic schools know that they are cherished children of God. Lord, in your mercy, hear our prayer. We give thanks for this land and the diversity of its people. Grant that we may honor one another, and that all people may be enriched by our common heritage and freed from despair, poverty, and exclusion. Lord, in your mercy, hear our prayer. We give thanks that you are the God who brings mercy and wholeness. Comfort and heal, we pray, all who are in sorrow, need, sickness, or any other trouble. Hear especially the prayers we lift to you in the silence of this time. Give to all caregivers wisdom, patience, and gentleness, and to us all your peace. Lord, in your mercy, hear our prayers. Lord, you alone know our true needs and desires. Shed your light on our lives and hearts. Keep us walking in your path, and hear the prayers that we have offered in the name of Jesus Christ our Lord, who also taught us to pray together, saying, Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. Oh, that's interesting. Okay. Well, we don't have the words up on the screen, but we'll listen to 2 verses of our next hymn, Joy to the World, hymn number 161, if you want to look along in your hymnals. Let earth Okay, we will listen to our postlude music. And let's sing and sign together. We wish you a Merry Christmas. Getting there. All right. Well, let's stand for the benediction. And now may the grace of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, the love of God the Father, and the fellowship of the Holy Spirit descend upon you all and be with you all, now and forevermore. Amen.